started it.
He started it and he's already mad at me.
I'm not mad. I'm just like, what? But then, I mean, I'm sure you do that with me too. So, but yeah, Joel just fully disclosed that he has never finished watching all 5 seasons of The Wire.
I think I had the Godfather syndrome. You know, when like you talk about the Godfather and everybody's like, oh yeah. And then there's always that guy. It's like, he hasn't seen the Godfather, but he's kind of playing along. I've done that with The Wire for a while. I think I watched through season 3 or maybe up to season 4. And I don't think I finished it.
Okay. Well, full disclosure, season 5 is kind of like a denouement, if you will. Because
action.
Frankly, seasons 3 and 4 are as Shakespearean as it gets, and they're just incredibly well written. And season 5 feels it's kind of like it's a little bit of a stretch, maybe.
Okay.
But it is valid because especially now it's probably even more prescient because it's journalism's turn. And I think like watching it now probably would be even more powerful, maybe just a little bit dated, because it is, the show's a little bit dated technology wise.
Right.
And that shows, but the writing, it doesn't matter. It's universal.
Well, when Kirsten and I, we recently wrapped up the Sopranos tour all the way through. And I was like, next we need to do The Wire. And then I was like, sheepishly looked at her, and she doesn't care. But I was like, sheepishly looked at her. I'm like, I haven't finished it. She's like, oh yeah, we should do that. And I'm like, oh man, how many people have I told that I did, or at least pretended like I did? I'm sure there's a few. So full disclosure, I haven't finished it.
It's so good.
Getting honest, getting vulnerable.
Jeremy might loan you his Blu-rays of it.
Well, I have HBO Max.
Oh, okay. Well, then,
stream it.
No excuse.
I know.
So
hi, everybody.
Hi.
Welcome to the Joel Trying to Be Better with Joel and Steve podcast. Glad you're here. Toot your hooter.
Toot your hooter.
Brought to you today by Kavita Master Brew Tart Cherry Kombucha
and grapefruit bubbly.
I'm drinking a full booch. I'm not sharing it with Kirsten. That's our sober nightcap sometimes is a kombucha. And
you guys are out of control.
Dude, we get wild. But some of them are pretty boozy. Like we bought one, so we do the like they bring your groceries to your car thing and then they substitute whatever they want.
Right.
They brought us a substitute one that was pretty boozy. These don't have any booze in them at all. Some of them have a little fermentation. It's kind of like, we had to dump that one out.
Right.
Yeah.
Be on the safe side.
Yeah. Welcome to the podcast, everybody.
Totally.
Steve and I are jazzed. I think we mentioned last time. We've got, I made a little schedule in my phone, and if all of them hold up and we don't have to reschedule anybody, we've got kind of about a month and a half worth of guests. I didn't say that right. Month and a half's worth. I can't say it. Let me try it again.
The next 6 weeks.
Of guests. Really great guests. One of which is kind of mind-blowing to think about. So hopefully all of that pans out.
Sure.
So stay tuned. Speaking of that, I have to do my wife's bidding here. She said, make sure to say on your podcast to like and subscribe and rate us and give us a good review or a bad review. Just give us a review on Apple Podcasts, because that's a big boon. But also it just kind of is a way to share the love, because we've got some pretty cool people coming up talking about some pretty cool, interesting things. And I think it could be of real benefit to others. So
totally.
I don't know if there's a way to do that on Spotify or Stitcher.
I don't know. Frankly, I don't think I've ever actually logged into Stitcher. I should probably do that.
I did a long time ago, but I haven't. So I don't know if there's a way to like and subscribe and review.
And, follow us on the Instagrams at
please.
Better Podcast.
Yep. On Instagram, I'm trying to be better.
You're
all
killing
around.
it, man. Your Instagram feed was just fire this last week.
Yeah.
I opened suggestions.
I opened a suggestion box. We got a lot of cool suggestions. So
we also got an email from our friend Elisa.
Oh, we did?
Yeah, we did. I'll have to forward it to you. I responded today. Hi, Elisa.
Hi, Lisa. Thank you.
You had some kind of nice suggestions for like potential formatting things.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Yeah, I think one of the things she mentioned a podcast where like at the end they play a song that like ties into the theme of the podcast. So there's like a little,
I dig it. Well, yeah. Elisa has mentioned and recommended many podcasts to me and to Kirsten, one of which Kirsten and I listened to a boatload of on a road trip. I think it was this last summer. It was a really wildly funny sex positive podcast about all kinds of things. It was like a call in and anybody can email questions. It was like no holds barred, no shame. Ask whatever you want about sex.
Was it Dan Savage's show?
It might have been.
I love Dan Savage. His show's amazing.
Yeah, I think it might have been his. I can't remember.
The Savage Lovecast.
Yeah, that's it. She recommended that to us, and I mean, Kirsten and I just ate it up. We're like, I
love just these situations that people call in, and he's like, "That's great."
Yeah, he doesn't care.
There may be a pitfall here or there. You might want to watch out for this, but other than that, toot your hooter.
Yeah, exactly. And like Kirsten and I were just like, we learned a lot on that road trip. Let me just say that.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
So thanks for the email, Lisa. And that's the thing is like, we're fans of podcasts. The fact that we have people that are kind of fans of ours is kind of weird and awesome and amazing. But you most of these folks know us. So reach out to us and say, hey, try this, or hey, do that. Or what if you guys had this person on? I'm totally down for that.
Yep. ttbbpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, our friend Ben Becker had a lot of cool things to say. He definitely he said, he's like, I kind of thought you and Steve talking on a podcast, would be great because you guys like to talk, but you never know if it's going to translate. And he's like, it does. And that was kind of nice to hear. Nice. That like, yeah,
that's good. So
thanks, Ben. And thanks for the email, Elisa. We appreciate you. She's a fellow chicken.
Yeah, she's got chickens.
Chicken lord. Chicken owner? Chicken pal?
I would say that I have chickens.
I have chickens.
Or maybe more accurately, they have me.
Oh my God. How did they do over that cold snap? Everybody okay?
Well, one of them died.
Oh,
that's kind of sad.
Yeah.
I don't think it was necessarily directly related to the cold because the other two were fine.
Yeah.
But I think she got sick and then the cold didn't help. And by the time
I knew that. I wasn't trying to tee you up on this.
No,
I
you're
knew
fine.
that, but I forgot, but I knew it. Okay.
But no, the two remaining ones, I let them out tonight and they're just loving it because they're starting to, like, the ground's kind of thawed and mushy and there's like little flying bugs in there. So they were just having a field day. It was great.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was fun.
I went on a walk today and heard birds and it was like so exciting. Like
it's exciting.
Spring is on its way, everybody.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I mean, I know I have family up in Minnesota and like I know somebody in North Dakota and like it's really like I'm not going to complain too much because we had it for a week and they lived through it all winter, And but also that was brutal. Friends, like that was gnarly.
Yeah, I know we have a listener up in Minneapolis, Jeremy, my old pal from college.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was texting him the other day and he sent me a playlist of shit or whatever. And I was like, how are you? And he's like, cold. I'm like, oh, yeah, you're really, I'm cold, but you guys are really cold.
Well, my deal was I walked outside one day after that brutal -30 or whatever it was, cold snap. I went out to go tend to the chickens and I stepped outside and I'm like, it's not too bad out. Feels pretty good. And I looked at the thermometer, it was -2.
It's a heat wave after
bullshit.
After 3 days in a row of like -20.
Yeah.
You could feel the difference between -20 and -2.
Definitely. Oh yeah.
Which I didn't think was possible. And we've got pals, some good pals of ours are down in Austin, Texas. And
oh boy,
what a shit show that is.
Totally.
But I'm glad Ted Cruz got a little getaway.
That's right. Well, he was just being a good father. He was showing his kids, he was leading by example that when the people that depend on you to make rational decisions and, help them to be their representative, what you do is you leave town, you skip out because you can. And then
but that's the thing is that he used his daughters as an excuse, but he knew it was a lie when he was asked about it. And then he went back on that.
Yes.
Al Franken did a whole story on
the important thing here is that his wife's really pissed that somebody in their friend group said, you know what?
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Yeah. Fuck you. I'm going to send this to the New York Times.
I'm sending this text chain to the New York Times. You just suck. That's what she's actually pissed about.
Yeah. Because the real problem are the leakers that are, bailing water. That's what
Joel, everybody knows that the real problem is the whistleblowers.
Right. If nobody blew the whistle, then everything would be fine.
Right. For them.
Right.
So we were talking about we were talking about a TV show at the top of the show.
TV shows. Yeah.
Would you say that in today's modern society, like watching The Wire, as much of it as you may have watched, I'm assuming, like it did me, had an effect on how I viewed the world.
Yes.
Because of its writing and because of the story and because of just the timeliness of the topics and the universality of the topics. I think it's safe to say that informed your worldview and maybe changed an opinion or two of yours.
Totally. Yeah. Especially as it relates to the law enforcement and all of that, especially in
sure.
Yeah.
It's all in the game.
Yeah. Oh God.
So that what we were kind of talking about, and I'm talking to our audience now for our topic this evening, is the idea of, is art important?
Yeah.
Is art important to a society? And why is it important if it is?
Yeah.
I know Joel is just like, right. It's like the cartoon thing with the fire and the stars and the lightning coming out of his head right now. Because some of you may have put together that Joel is an actor.
I'm an actor, artist, theater artist, teaching artist.
You teach art.
Yes, I do. And I can tell you with 100% assurance, and definitely I kind of, threw this out to Steve, yesterday or today. In a word, yes, it's very important. On paper, if you look at the way things are trending in higher education, obviously in a global pandemic right now, there are certain types of art that are very celebrated and other types of art that can't be celebrated, or at least we're missing right now. But the ability for a culture to reinterpret itself and express itself, not necessarily, I mean, I think all art is political and all art is socially beneficial, even if it's, complete absurdism, because it institutes that on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, everybody's needs are getting met, and therefore they can express themselves like our ancient ancestors in caves. They were warm, they were fed, they were procreated, and they were able to paint on walls to tell the story of who they were and what they did. So at the very least, it is essential. It is a symptom of a culture that is healthy if the art is vibrant and possible.
I think those two words are important: vibrant and possible.
Right. Yes. And the problem is, that I think, at least in this country, art, music, theater, storytelling has to go through the gauntlet of commodification in order.
Most definitely.
It has
unless
to
you're way outside of that machine,
right? In order to be successful, right?
Financially successful.
Right. Yeah. There you
go. To be able to make a living at it, you have to succumb to that on a certain level.
Yes. Even if you're applying for weird nonprofit grants that, want to pay you to, paint yourself in human feces for a month or whatever, like somebody pays for that shit. There's a line from a play I love, about art. It's called The Shape of Things by Neil Abute, who's got a whole list of problems. Please email us about it, but I won't go into it now. But there's this monologue at the end where he's like, somebody pays for your shit. He's talking to this girl that screwed him over, who was an artist. And he's like, everybody pays, like somebody pays for it. That's true. We're not, I don't know. Anybody can, like you and I getting on our computers and deciding to explore the art of conversation is something people can do. Sure. We joke about getting that Lamborghini money, but
Beyond Burger,
our bread is buttered elsewhere.
Yeah, totally.
But yeah, like, yes, this is a long, big, huge conversation, but I think it's important because, trying to convince administrators, I'm going to be super vague, how important it is to let the artists be experts and try to tell the story, to try to entice folks to come play in your sandbox. I'm being super vague. It is something you have to continually justify in that realm, like in the educational realm or in the grant writing realm or in anybody, you have to continually say what we do is important and it's valid. My worry is, and I kind of ranted about this on Facebook the other day, that it's, I worry that more and more we're becoming so capitalistic that we're only going to look at things that can make the most amount of money right away, instead of celebrating the liberal arts, and not just performing arts or visual arts or fine arts, but the ability to discover a wide variety of things and to synthesize that into a life.
You actually used a term that I would like you to clarify, because I feel
Yes.
like you might actually be able to do that.
Sure.
Define liberal arts as relates to you said like performing arts.
Yes.
The two different things. What is a liberal art?
So here's the deal. And again, this is somebody's going to take me to task, because we would be better served by asking somebody who teaches in the hardcore humanities, like, religious studies, philosophy, language, that sort of stuff, because that's sort of the heart of the liberal arts. But fine art, theater, music, those things are definitely a part of the liberal arts. But what's happened in 2021 is the idea, and I think this is really true, the word liberal has been co-opted in a lot of gnarly ways.
Really?
And arts have been watered down in a lot of ugly ways. So when you put those two things together, when people, there are, and I'm going to be super vague, but I'm talking about a particular person. There's somebody who I know who is at a very privileged position of power, who continues to think that the liberal arts are the fine arts, are, fine arts, performing arts, those music, those sort of things. A liberal arts education is based on the idea that a student could come into that academic environment and have the ability to discover and be curious and study a multiplicity of subjects and synthesize those subjects through their experience and what their pursuit of knowledge. And then that would encourage that individual to be a more well-rounded human and be more beneficial to a society. That's kind of what I understand in a very layman's way.
So to provide the most good for the most people.
Booyah. Yes. Right. Kind of like what Brian talked about with a good economy.
Mm-hmm. It all ties together. So I'm going to take a step backward evolutionary here for a second, but to say that so that's, I think that's where that thing of the liberal elites come from. It's them liberal elites, because they're getting out and learning that there's more to life than my little corner of the world. And them other people.
Yes.
They're learning about them other people and finding out that they're actually kind of cool and have good food and good music and shouldn't be persecuted.
Right. And the idea that all happens in higher education is very the idea of free thought and free discovery and
there's that word, Joel, free. Somebody's paying for it, just like you said. It's free. Who's paying for that? Who's paying for that free thought, Joel?
And the wide availability of an individual to explore and be curious and study science or French or theater or
why would anybody study French?
Okay. Yeah. Right. I really hope that that's not the rest of the podcast. You sound like what's the Muppet? Man. What's the Muppet that talks like that?
Oh,
Jack not named Jack Job. What's that? Is it Precious? Is that his name?
I don't know, man.
Oh,
Let's
God, it's
some
like
Muppet trivia, but I almost thought, I thought, Sam the Eagle, but Sam actually has some principles.
Well, that's all he has. That's what he's that's the best part of Sam the Eagles. That's all he has are his platitudes.
Oh boy.
So
anyway,
you know,
sorry, I digress.
that counterpoint is great because that's the argument. What you're saying is that's the constant argument is, and now I'm not to just,
if we just stop learning about other things
and just study one thing. Now I'm not here to disparage like trade schools because that's
hell no,
dude, amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for a society to thrive, it needs to have a place where all of those schools of thought can be in one place. And I've seen it with my own eyes, students, learning something in a religious studies class and then applying it to the play they're writing. And then that play they're writing gets handed off to a lighting designer who is an electrician and understands electricity and physics and lights the play that they're doing. And then somebody writes a review of it in their journalism class and somebody you know what I mean? Like the idea that the liberal arts education should die, it means that, well, then it's going to turn into 1984. And the state is going to tell you exactly, it's just going to,
that I believe is the end, is the goal.
Yeah.
Stop. No more free thinking.
Right.
Free thinking is bad for systems of power.
Yes.
Free thinking is really bad for systems of power because people stand up and say, actually, I don't think that's right for anybody.
Yeah.
But a small percentage of the people.
Right. And this is where I think, because I think that you could easily say that people who were sold a big lie were told that they needed to rise up a few weeks ago and overthrow the government.
Yeah.
But I think the missing piece there is the celebration of satire, of beauty, of wild expression for no other reason, like Dadaism or something completely pointless.
I started reading Mad magazine when I was pretty young.
Yes.
And I remember my dad telling me, like, that magazine is going to rot your brain. And he was kind of kidding, but I don't think he was actually.
Yeah.
Because he was right in that generation where like satire and just kind of open mocking of institutions was not, which is what Mad totally was. Like, this institution is ridiculous. We're gonna lampoon it endlessly.
Right.
Did
National Lampoons predate Mad magazine?
I don't know the history of that well enough, but I think Mad predates the Lampoons.
Oh, okay. I was just curious. So satire, art, or just like free expression. I mean, that's the interesting thing too, that I remember, and I don't remember, I wasn't there, but that I, witnessed through being really fascinated by it in 60s counterculture is that the idea of revolution, of free expression, of sexual revolution, women's rights, the Black Panthers, all of the civil rights, all of it.
The idea that I just lost my train of thought. Sorry, go ahead.
That it was all tied together through music, art, expression. I mean, yes, it fell off the rails as all things do, but
it might have gotten pushed off the rails.
Yeah, there's that. But it was all tied together. I mean, and I don't know. I mean, that's the thing. So yes, art is important also. And this is the interesting thing. And I mentioned, Elizabeth Gilbert's book, Big Magic. There's also this idea that like art is so important. So it should be revered and celebrated and really held up. And that, I think that idea keeps people from just, being willing to fuck something up. Like, if I can't write All Along the Watchtower, then I shouldn't write a song. If I can't write King Lear, then I shouldn't write a play. It's like, I don't know. The idea that people feel free enough that they can express. And that's what's been interesting in the last year with pandemic and political unrest. I know a lot of artists that have been like, man, I don't feel like creating anything right now. Cause it's like, we're worried about our basic needs. And you don't feel like it's okay to express. Although people are like, that's when you should express the most, but it's also like when your basic needs are being threatened, we can't, But whenever, this is where I told you I would go off. when everybody was hunkered down and it was like, remember that 2 weeks to flatten the curve bullshit that everybody said was going to happen,
right?
All those years ago. What do? We watched TV. We listened to music. We saw musicians just go live on their Instagram and play us songs. And there was this beautiful outcry for more things to experience and witness. So we turn to artists when the shit hits the fan. That's what we do. If we continue to neuter or cut artists' ability to create off at the knees with financial support, we are dooming our own society.
Well, but as long as Hollywood keeps pumping out those big budget blockbusters, we'll be fine, right?
Well, that's the other part of it, is that if the only art that you turn to is the one that the masses are telling you to turn to, then you are only seeing one version of things, And so I mean, we're learning so much about all of this stuff, but yeah, I mean, I talked to somebody who's in a local theater group recently, and he was talking about ways to collaborate, and it was so refreshing to talk to somebody like that, or see other colleagues making work as however they can. Or my one of my colleagues at Doane, Erin Cross, who's a fantastic painter, an amazing teacher, seeing her still be prolific in her studio and create.
Her Instagram is great.
Her Instagrams. Thank you, Erin, for continuing to share your work. Or Dave Gracie's art that he keeps. It's like
we should get Dave on.
We really should. I mean, those are the. If we've learned anything about,
in fact, why are we talking about art without David Gracie?
Yeah.
Good night.
Yeah. Well, I started, to follow up a podcast from a few weeks ago. I was really afraid to do the thing. I've started doing the things, and I was telling my assistant, on this video project.
Congratulations, by the way, for,
thank you,
getting over the hump.
Still got to do the thing. But I told my assistant today, who I just brought on board, I was like, hey, this might be really amazing, and I'm really excited about it. It also might be a giant turd, but that's the best part about it.
Right.
Is that right now we're given free reign to just let it rip. And
that's amazing.
And we all, Kirsten and I were really conscious about ordering food from local places early on and doing all this stuff. And it's like, well, we really need to support local artists, which I'm excited about a guest on our show coming up. We need to support local galleries. We need to support local theaters. We need to support local musicians, and really do that. When
we've been trying to do that a little bit, chip into the local webcasts and stuff.
Yeah.
And also to some of the larger ones, I gave a little money last weekend to a group that's supporting out of work stagehands.
Oh yeah.
And roadies and all those people that aren't working right now.
There's so many.
Threw a few bucks that way, because I mean, that's real.
Yeah. There's so many of those folks that are, union people that are, I mean, incredibly important, and are all screwed right now.
Yep.
Go ahead.
You obviously are formally educated in this stuff in a way that I am not. But I have been, I am not using hyperbole when I say that art saved my life.
How
Music saved my life. Well, I guess in the shortest, most, the going to my first Grateful Dead concert opened up my eyes to so many things. One of the biggest ones was that. Steve, and are you there?
You froze out for a second, man.
You froze up.
It might be my internet.
Yeah.
We all froze up. Everybody froze for a second. The whole world froze.
So, okay. And this is one of those things, and you've talked about it, and we had this conversation in the past, but I went to my first, there's before June 12th or July 12th, 1990, and there's after June 12th, 1990.
Yeah.
Right. Where had been alive for 19 years, but I wasn't living.
Right.
And wasn't sure that I wanted to, frankly.
Yeah.
And a combination of a really massive dose of LSD with 64,000 of my closest friends.
Right.
And the Grateful Dead laying it down at 120 decibels. was profound.
It was what's the date of that show?
7/12/1990, RFK Stadium.
Okay.
Listen to it. It's I don't remember much of it, frankly, but what I remember is coming out of drums in space into this really warm space that was love writ large, right? And being enveloped by that in a way that I don't know that I'd ever known. Not, I mean, it was really intense. And
music is literal magic.
Music is the language of the universe.
Correct.
And math, but music's easier for me to access.
Yeah. Right.
Math rock nerds don't send hate mail.
Because
or send love mail, whatever.
Send hate mail, but it's also magic.
Sure. Yeah. Right. But like, so that was kind of, and like, even before that, like Henry Rollins, I tapped into him.
Ooh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And here's the thing. Okay. So like, I remember very distinctly, the year was, I don't know, 85 probably. And I remember like my world was, I had been turned on to like Cabaret Voltaire and New Order and The Cure and some of that kind of, I guess it would have been like, I don't know, new wave music when like most people were listening, it was like REO Speedwagon and whatever Townie rock,
Did you ever get into OMB?
No.
Somebody just told me about them and I started listening. It's interesting. But
okay.
Sorry.
No craft work or anything like that, although I knew who they were. But like I was still kind of pulled into like so I remember distinctly like I was working at washing dishes at this restaurant and I spent my hard-earned cash on the new Whitesnake album.
Yes.
Because they had that song that sounded like Led Zeppelin, right?
Yeah.
Right? And I'm like, so I bought that and I remember thinking, wait a minute, this sucks. This is like just the cheesiest ripoff of all. Like, fuck this album. And I just felt stupid for buying it, you know? Like back to your point of the commodification.
Yes.
Right.
Yep.
And so like, that's really when because I had tipped my toes into that other world. Right.
Yeah.
A little more artsy. Right.
A little bit. Yeah.
A little bit. And then around that time I got turned on to Black Flag.
Yeah.
And that was the real shit.
Because it's like when you hear punk rock, or for me, it was like the Beastie Boys and Nirvana and Pearl Jam. When you hear that stuff, that's such a deviant. It is the first experience where you have this idea that like art can move you and speak to you and allow your emotions to kind of rip open. Whitesnake with the model rolling around on a Ferrari doesn't do it for it, But
I mean, no disrespect to Tommy Katane, but
right. Black Flag.
You know what I mean? Ripped everything apart.
Right.
And some of those album covers, I was at the record store just like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Family Man.
Yeah.
Family Man. Like to crucify you with nails from your well-stocked garage. I mean, just like, oh my God.
Yes. Ooh. So like art. I mean, that's exactly what it is. We can point to like music or pop music or punk or all of those genres, but it's, I was also thinking of like, theater. I could talk about how theater has changed my life. There is a point. I was raised in the theater with my family in a community theater in Columbus, and that was mostly like Neil Simon stuff that was really fun and really cool. It was cool because they were making magic all the time and they were a community and whatever. So that I didn't really understand it as an art form until like I made my own thing, which is Gabriel's Horn, which is what you're talking about. Like when I realized I could just do it, it was kind of like that idea of like, you see Fugazi and you're like, oh, they're just doing that.
They're just out doing it.
And I can just do that.
I can just do it.
And I just did it.
That's the same, not to even compare what we're doing here to that. But that's what this is.
That's exactly what this is.
I thought, it'd be fun to talk with Joel and do a podcast.
Let's do it.
We can just do it.
We can just do it. And that's exactly what I'm making. Here's the thing. Like, somebody out there has, I hear this all the time, I'm not really a creative person. It's like bullshit. Like you just don't let yourself be creative in the way, and you think you have to make art the way other people make art. So you tell yourself you're not creative in that way. What is the thing that makes you creative? And if it's like, you're really good at making spreadsheets, you're very creative at the way those work, then that's your art. I mean, there's ways to be creative with seemingly mundane things.
I had an experience like that at work. I had to figure out this. The short version is I had a spreadsheet problem, right? And I could not. I was like, I'm look. Are you all right?
I just about spit my bucha all over the microphone. I had a spreadsheet problem. Don't mean to make fun, but it's like
no. I did.
Every time I open a spreadsheet, I have a spreadsheet problem.
That's like I'm kind of okay with them. I can figure some stuff, but in my head, I just could not. I was like, oh my God. So I went to our when an accounting assistant. I said, can you help me with this? Like, I got this. I have these things and I can't. And she's looked at. She's like, what are you trying to? So I think I'm trying to. She's like, okay, hold on. And she's like, formula, beep, boop, boop. Okay, is this better? I'm like, oh my God. Like she was a wizard.
Yeah.
Like a literal wizard. She saved me hours and hours of work in like a minute.
I've had stage managers that the stage manager in the theater, somebody sort of keeps rehearsal on point, makes sure everybody's conflicts are there, make sure the room is safe. Just is basically the all around flow manager of everything. But they often have to like make spreadsheets and keep track of stuff and keep track of people's conflicts and all this bullshit. But stage managers, they don't think of themselves as some of them might think of themselves as creatives, but their ability to see good stage managers working those spreadsheets and conflicts and rehearsal reports.
And they know who's got a thing with this situation over here, and they know how it relates and how it's going to affect that thing over there. And it all ties together.
So if you're out there and you're working in, I don't know, bank finance, there is a way for you to find your art in that. And if it sucks you dry, then go home and learn to play the ukulele. But like, you know what I mean? Good. But make shit.
You ever watch the movie Das Boot?
Das Boot? No.
Yes, oh my God.
I haven't.
I've heard of it is so amazing. Everybody should watch Das Boot. It sounds like it would be boring. Totally not boring. Watch it with a good stereo system, surround sound, subwoofer, and it will scare the shit out of you. Not in like a Halloween kind of way, but in like a tense, like, oh my God, how's this going to end kind of way. But it's about German U-boats, and it's a German movie in World War II, and you live in a U-boat, sometimes a couple thousand feet underwater, right?
Yeah.
Getting bombs dropped on you. Okay.
Right.
Oh my God, it's amazing. But there's a character in it named Johann, and Johann is like the chief mechanic. And Johann is like, when I think of like when things kind of get stressful at work for me, I go to my Johann place, right? Yeah. Which is like there's only getting the motor to run. And he's the guy. Right. And he breaks down at one point. Right. And the captain of the boat has to point a gun at his head and say, you need to get your shit together, or I'm going to kill you right now.
Right.
And Johann pulls it together. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the point is like that Johann's an artist.
Yeah.
Right. He's the guy that keeps that diesel running.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
an art.
Right.
It's also like science, but it's like the level of like passion that he brought to that character in that position. Like I think of that character and kind of some of those moments that he has when like things get difficult for me, because that's where art's inspiring.
Yes.
Like that story tells something that resonates with me when things get hard.
Okay. So I'm about to go on a tangent because you just reminded me of something, and
lay it on me.
Here's the deal. Storytelling, metaphor, in inspiration. If you want to get metaphysical, spiritual, religious with this, the only way I know anything about the sutras or the Buddha's life is because somebody wrote it down, but he told a lot of stories. Jesus of Nazareth taught in parable.
Yes.
The stories about Greek gods and Norse gods were all stories that were passed down. That was all art. You can argue the facts of it, but the truth of it is or what you're left with, what it inspires in you to be a better person is actually fundamentally transformative to the very core of who you are. And we can do such good with storytelling and art and expression, and we can do a lot of bad with it. But the idea that these things that we hold on to, that there is, supernatural powers out there are all just stories that we've been told. That's not downplaying them. It just means that in the DNA of art and storytelling is the ability to rise above your circumstances and transcend suffering, transcend sin, transcend pain, and be better.
And be better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so like music, or it's hard to like talk about all of art, but it's like, I guess this is a call to everybody is to, I just made a weird like time lapse video on my phone the other day, and it felt like really great to just create something weird and like not edit it and throw it out there. I need to get back into writing. I need to play my guitar more. But this has been a really interesting leap, this podcast.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess, I don't know if you're out there, make something weird, share it with us. That would be
totally
cool.
Share the weird things.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Draw something, paint something, write something. That would be really cool to get everybody. I don't know. It's just
that. Well, like that's what I've been doing. Part of and I've talked about this a little bit. That's part of what started this podcast. But like that's been one of my things that has come out of my meditation practice is that I need to exercise my creativity muscle. Because I've always kind of had this thing of like, well, you're not really that creative. I have some musical ability that I was just born with. Like I am a pretty decent, just natural musician, but my ability to translate that greatness into something tangible is limited by the fact that I've been lazy. And I've kind of played, but I haven't never actually really worked at it.
Yeah.
Right. So that's like I'm taking guitar lessons.
Yeah. How are those going? Are you still taking them?
Oh yeah, it's great. Mark Leaker.
So what do you guys? Because you have all the fundamentals of guitar playing. Like,
sort of. Oh like, my gosh, dog. My dog's barking. We're working. Well, like for example, one of the things we're focusing on right now is Sultans of Swing by Dire Straits. Nice. All those little licks and fills in that song. That's been kind of one of the holy grails for me.
Yeah.
Like I love the song, but it's in my mind. It's always been like, well, I could never play that. Because let's face it, it'd be a lot of work, Yeah. But with Mark's help, like I'm woodshedding it out,
Yeah.
And you see, here's the difference between a person like Mark and a player like Mark and a player like me is that he spent a couple days writing out in tablature all those little licks and fills.
Right. Because he can.
Well, yeah. But that's just it. But that's like his level of dedication to art. Right.
Yeah. Wow.
And so the mad respect, like I joked last week about writing on your coattails. I'm literally writing on his coattails. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I guess that's what lessons are. So he'll kind of play something like, oh, wait, what was that? Like, that's a cool thing that I've always wanted to play. And he'll show me how to do it,
Yeah,
but then I have to practice it,
Right. But I think it's so cool that you were like, what's my holy grail right now of, a song that I would love to know how to play, and you're just working at it. It's like, that's how it starts.
It makes me so happy. Like each time I get one of those little licks down, and some of them are they're really tough, not for Mark Knopfler, but for me, they're really tough.
Right. But at one point they were hard for Mark.
Yeah,
Knopfler.
Probably. Yeah. Oh yeah, probably. There's a couple of them in there that are just like, I really have to work to play them. And I've been working on them for a couple of weeks and I still don't have it quite, but it's like, but just that process is very therapeutic, and it makes me excited. Like it really makes me excited to see progress on some of those things, and to sit down. Like I could, like if I had to, if someone pointed a gun at my head and said, get up there and play Sultans of Swing, I could do it.
That's amazing.
It wouldn't be perfect, but I could get it. We'd get through it,
Yeah. And you mentioned a few podcasts ago, like, I'm not a songwriter, but you could maybe try to write. I wonder if
I'm not there yet.
No, I know you're not there yet. I'm just musing
Yeah.
that if you perhaps tackled Sultans of Swing, it would inspire your playing in a way, or perhaps even your writing in a way. I mean, I poo-poo that too, because like Kirsten told, I don't know, she said this a few years ago, like, Joel, you're going to write the next American play, great American play.
Oh,
but I don't, that's holy
challenge
grail.
accepted.
Well, that's like Mount Everest, that's a lot. I mean, because that implies commodification too. Like, in order to have that level of success to be considered the great new American play,
oh man, you'd be on the cover of Time magazine.
Well, that's the thing. Like, but I need to remember, dude. Okay, so my Jerry Garcia book, that Rolling Stone. Jerry Garcia is looking at me over his sunglasses right now, judging me.
He's got no room to judge.
That's true.
He really doesn't.
I was like, what I would tell my student
Garcia, like, I know, man.
I know, man.
Like,
I get it, man. But I'll
take the money.
It starts with the first scene. I need to start. You know what I mean? Like, that's the thing, is that writing something great that somebody else likes, that will keep you from doing anything. Thinking that it has to be widely popular is the best way to kill a good idea.
Yeah.
Because if we
unless you're writing modern country music.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Or modern alternative rock, where you're literally you're adept at manipulating the algorithm in a way that is, it's like this is something I learned when I worked in the grocery business, is that grocery store delis are not profitable. They only exist to get people through the door to buy the things that are profitable. And that here's the thing about grocery store deli food, is that it doesn't have to be good. That is not the point. The point is that it exists to be not objectionable to the most people.
Yeah.
Where the most people eat it, like, that's all right.
Yeah.
It's not objectionable.
The fried chicken was good. Fried chicken was fried.
Well, or the macaroni salad or whatever, it's not like, this is amazing. This is like amazing. It's like, no, it's like, it's suitable.
Right.
Right. Well, so like commercial music and art is kind of the same thing. It's like commercial art that you see in office buildings. Like, well, that's not objectionable.
That doesn't piss me off.
Right. Kind of. Yeah.
but
this forces me to think about nothing.
And that's why, like, as a theater artist, where I went to grad school, was sort of like, the point of it was to make the audience uncomfortable, to push the boundary. That's why the artists that we love were the ones that did that. Black Flag, Fugazi, the Grateful Dead, whatever, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, whoever pushed beyond.
Alice Cooper.
Okay. I was thinking of like, contextualize it, but like Rothko, the painter, or Jackson Pollock.
Oh.
Yeah. Or, playwrights.
Who's Mapplethorpe?
I don't know.
The photographer.
Okay.
Anyway,
sure. I'll look it up.
Okay.
Well, I was also thinking of playwrights like Eric N. or Susan Laurie Parks, or, yeah.
I thought I heard Henry Rollins, is probably 10, 15 years ago, wrote an open letter to Toby Keith. It was when Rollins, I think he had a show on IFC or something, and one of the segments was he wrote a letter to somebody. He had, he was the airing of grievances kind of thing.
Right.
He was just, kind of good naturedly saying, hey man, you really have a large audience.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people listen to you, and you could really affect a lot of people. Maybe you could use that pulpit or whatever to inspire people to do more than to drive a $40,000 truck on a $36,000 a year salary. Yeah. Sincerely, Henry.
Oh, I love him.
Right?
That's so great.
Yeah. I mean, the mass commodified art that is foisted upon the general public wherever you turn
Yeah.
is not inspiring to do anything else other than to maintain the status quo.
Well, I think about that too with like,
and there are exceptions, but
I think about I watched this documentary the other day. You can get on Amazon Prime Video, which is funny to even say, but it's called Other Music. It's about the record store Other Music in New York City, and they were talking. I mean, they went out. It was about them dying. It was about them that record store going out of business, and all of these people, all of these famous musicians, talking about how they love that place, but how it had to die because it was like, streaming. I mean, right. Even the obsession with vinyl, the resurgence of that, still wasn't enough to keep it, keep the rent in New York City. But they were talking about the algorithms, that like. At Other Music, in order to work there, you had to know your shit, at least about something, about hip hop, about noise, about whatever,
right?
And that a customer would come in there and say, I want something that kind of sounds like this and sounds like this, and these people would have to kind of curate your shopping experience for you. And
now we're back to the movie High Fidelity.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And like those sort of personalities that like you had to deal with those personalities. Now it's like I can type into Spotify. I listened to Star Wars remixed in like lo-fi beat. I was just like
8-bit Star Wars.
Yeah, it was like, but it's just like it just pumps it out. There's no human.
And the artist made 0.0000002 cents.
Yeah. Whereas at Other Music and record stores like that, punk bands could come in there with a box of records they just pressed with their own money, right, and say, "Can you guys sell these?" And somebody would listen to it and be like, "Sure, we'll see how it goes." And then that band could take off. They had a story about a band that happened in that. You all should listen or watch that documentary called Other Music. It's really pretty cool. But it's just like, how do we rise above the lateralization of information with the internet and algorithms? And how do we also rise above the commodification of art anyway? I think there's still ways to do it though, because we all have fucking TV studios in our pockets.
Right. And so that's the thing, is that there's so much cool art being created.
Yeah.
Even in Lincoln, Nebraska, there's so much art.
Yeah, there is.
First Friday.
Yeah.
Tons of art.
Yeah.
There's
I'm shocked.
Lots and lots.
Whenever, and I can't wait till they can come back, but like we'd go down to First Fridays, I'd go to like the weird galleries, Tugboat Gallery, and walk around and see really transgressive, weird ass shit. And it was like, man, I'm back at Cal Arts. Like, this is a really weird scene up here. This is really great. This is weird.
Yeah.
It's out there. It's challenging. It's provocative. It's
thought provoking.
Yeah. Yes. We should get some
feeling provoking.
Yes. And just like whimsical.
Yeah.
The ability, one of those installations was this, I don't know, she was probably 17, 18 years old. This artist did a video installation and recreated like a teenage bedroom, but had like this video on loop of like really violent acts and all this stuff. And it was like, and I got to talk to her about it, and she was just right there. She's like, yeah, this is my work, blah, blah, blah. And that is when we're all forced to be in our homes for the last year or whatever, we have to turn to the big budget, big box shit, and YouTube. I hope that we learn. Well, YouTube, that's true. That is sort of
that's what my kids watch.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm just saying that like, we're all keeping, our favorite local restaurant afloat, our favorite local grocery store afloat. Let's all remember to keep our local artists afloat. So like, buy those season tickets to the nonprofit theater in your community. Go see your friend's weird ass play. Go see your friend's stand-up act. Go to your friend's art opening. Invest the time and energy to do that when and as soon as possible, instead of just waiting for Wicked to come around again. Nothing against Wicked, but or Hamilton. I love Hamilton, but the amount of money you're going to spend on one touring ticket for Hamilton when this shit's over, you could have seen a whole 3 years worth of local theater that would have benefited your community and maybe your heart 10 times more. Go see Hamilton. It's great, but also support your local theater.
You can do both.
You can do both.
If you can do both.
If you can do both, do both. Go see your friend's band. Go to the poetry reading. I don't know. Make your own poetry. Start a reading.
Speaking of, Steer Creek Band's got a gig.
When is that?
May 22nd at Nomads in Nehawka, Nebraska.
Dude,
I'm gonna go play the Outlaw Country. I can't wait. It's gonna be great.
I cannot fucking wait to go to this.
We're gonna play outside. They were asking if we wanted to play earlier, and I didn't want to play inside.
Yeah. Yep.
With a bunch of people that will likely be unmasked. It's like I'm not down. But outside, sure, let's do this. So yeah, it's gonna be great. I'm really looking forward to it.
May 8th in Nehawka, Nebraska.
No, May 22nd.
May 22nd, Nehawka, Nebraska.
Nomads in Nehawka, Nebraska.
Dude, I cannot wait.
Oh, it's gonna be fun.
Do I have to cut my hair?
No, you come as you are.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come in my man bun and my mala beads.
You can do that. You can do that. Just tip your wait staff.
Oh. Well, yeah.
We're gonna play some Willie Nelson. We're gonna play some Pink Floyd. We're gonna play some Hank Williams Sr.
Dude, yes.
Mm-hmm.
How did Pink Floyd make it in there?
Fearless off of the album Metal.
Okay.
I played Fearless for 25 years, and it works. You can play it country. It's great.
You're learning new songs, or these songs you already kind of knew?
No, well, I'm having to learn some new songs. I mean, most of it's country, so it ain't real hard. It's 1-4-5.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty. You just throw some bends in there. It's it's pretty straightforward. But there was some stuff in there like Whiskey River by Willie Nelson is deceptively like there's some hooks in there that you kind of have to play. Or not, but we're trying to play them. It's kind of like some of the Dead songs. At first, like, well, that just sounds like, oh wait, that was unexpected.
Yeah, I heard a hopeful guest say this once at the Willie Nelson show that Willie Nelson's got his own sense of rhythm.
He does.
It's like unlike anything else.
Yep.
And the fact that his band can kind of follow his whimsy is pretty ridiculous.
It's unique. Yeah. Well, it's what you get when you play together that long.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. A show.
Yeah, I know. An actual show. I'm gonna, and people will hopefully be there, and we'll play music and have a real hootenanny.
Dude, I'm gonna be there.
Okay, that'd be great. Come on.
That might be my first. That maybe I'll try to make that my first concert in a year and a half.
I'd be thrilled.
Oh, it'll be fun. What an oasis in the desert that is.
Right. That's kind of how I feel about it.
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like Rob Bell, I've been listening to his Everything is Spiritual book, and
so good.
It's amazing. It is amazing. And there's a really great. If you haven't seen, have you seen like the live show on YouTube of that?
No, I never did. And
it's amazing. It's great. It's a little bit different than the book, but it's also really. But the point is that the universe is always expanding, always has been, and it's the nature of things to like get together and create.
Yes.
Get together and create. Atoms, molecules, people get together,
animals,
create.
stars.
And always getting bigger, always more love, if you're on that plane, right? And so that's where like this whole thing back to like meditation. I should be more creative. I threw a couple things out there. We have a podcast. People are listening to it. I'm taking guitar lessons, and hey, lo and behold, next thing you know, I'm playing a country show, like it's all like, why not?
Yes, because
when we're staring at the lockdown and thinking, oh my God, what are we going to do? If you would have told me, well, you'd have a podcast that people would be listening to and you'd be playing a country show in May, I probably wouldn't have believed you.
That's so great.
It's great.
But you're right. That's what he says. It's like what on a fundamental physical level, every atom in your body is desiring to come together and create.
Yes, exactly. Yep. And when you say nope, ain't gonna come together, right? Exactly. I'm not coming together. Ain't gonna, like that. Like it's just
what if somebody doesn't like it? Well, that's what I do. Sure. What if they don't like it? That means they don't like me. That's total.
That means you're a bad person.
You know what it is? This is what I tell my actors. This is what I tell my actors in my acting class, is that stage fright is essentially your lizard brain saying, if you set yourself apart from the group too wildly, then the group is going to kick you out and you don't get meat and you don't get fire, like it's just that's all it is. Like that's
real though.
I mean, it's real, but it's also like, we're not living in caves,
Sure.
So if we followed our lizard brain, we wouldn't
that's
have this
interesting.
computer or this kombucha that I just drank.
Right.
We just, yeah. So anyway, the whole universe is pushing us to come together and create.
Come together and create.
Come together right now.
Right now. Oh boy. Oh,
we did it, man.
I think we did it. This is good.
Yeah,
Art's important. Art's important.
So here's the challenge, I guess I'll say to all of our listeners, and I will accept this challenge as I continue to create stuff. And obviously Steve's playing in a country band, so he's winning the challenge, but make some shit. Tag us in it. Use the hashtag Toot Your Hooter.
Yeah.
Create something.
Please.
I really think that would be fucking awesome.
It'd be fucking awesome. Yeah.
So create something wild and hashtag Toot Your Hooter and tag us in it. We want to see your
weird art.
Yes. The world is ending.
Well, now why you gotta go there, man?
Well, because it always is.
True. That's true. Fair enough.
Okay. Yeah. Like it's like, I don't know. That's for our Buddhist teacher talk.
Right.
I'll wait for that. But yeah, make something. Get weird. Toot your hooter.
Make something. Get weird. Toot your hooter. You'll have at least two fans.
Yeah, huge fans. I don't care what it is.
Right.
Huge fans.
Yeah. Cool.
All right, man.
Love you.
Love you too. Have a great week.
Yeah.
Everybody, and connect with the show on the Instagrams, Trying to Be Better Podcast, ttbb@gmail.com.
TTBB podcast at gmail.com. Joel's trying. He's really trying.
I really am, but you do it way better. So
well, whatever. You do the Instagrams. I still to this date don't understand Instagram. So if I do something weird, you're like, he doesn't what? That's because I really have no idea what I'm doing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, you know how to edit this down and put it on a internet.
There you go.
Put it on a internet. Tells you anything. I don't know how to spreadsheet either. So
it takes a village.
It sure does.
Yep.
Toot your, everybody. We love you.
All right. Later.
Bye.